It's time for a big issue here on New Day. I'm Joseph Akablay. Very special edition, Valentine's Day, and you should be hearing the conversation off air. Thankfully, you couldn't join, but you can join us now. My panel, the regular Friday guest, Abraham Amaleba is Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. I have Kwame Jantua with me as well. He is a legal practitioner, member of the CPP. And Ebo Bachman is a senior communicator with the Movement for Change. And Professor Enoch Opokwentri is a governance and policy analyst. And what are the Valentine stories? Mr. Jantua first.
Valentine stories.
Yeah.
Good morning to our viewers. I take this opportunity to wish my dear sister a happy birthday tomorrow.
Okay.
Nanaya Jantua.
Oh, interesting.
Her birthday tomorrow. Valentine's Day is for people like you.
Nanaya is your sister?
Yes.
Yeah, that's sister.
Oh, Nanaya is my sister, yes. It's for you. So I should be asking you, what are you doing this Valentine's Day?
Oh, I'm not doing anything today, but I remember one from way back. I was in
No, that class. Is past. We can't need it.
Oh, Enedia. Oh, Enedia, they say I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys too. Mr. Maleba.
Someone is watching. Someone is watching.
Oh, good morning to everyone watching. All our viewers on Facebook and YouTube and on TV as well.
I like your smartness.
Mr. Maleba, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
You're fine, eh?
I'm okay.
You have a chocolate with you.
Abi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Abi. Oh, then your Valentine. When we say the man,
Ebo don't disappoint me.
But you see, we should allow love to, to saturate the atmosphere. And even beyond Valentine, you shouldn't declare only beyond 1 month.
Valentine, yes.
Month of love. Yeah. So other months are month of what? I think the most important thing in life is to love. I mean, apart from that, as we were discussing before we came on air, life, death, love. These are the three most important things that every man will have to experience. And for me, today, yes, being Val's Day, we should love and even take the love beyond the month of February and continue to love. So that's what I would say.
How about you, Prof?
I believe in love. Love conquers everything. And the most beautiful thing in this world is to know that somebody somewhere is always thinking about you. So love is beautiful. Let's celebrate love because it's so sweet.
That's nice. Good morning to all our loved ones across the world. We thank you for all the love you give all of us. Well, there's a lot to talk about today. I mean, throughout the week, two main big issues have dominated the headlines. The first being the conversation surrounding Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister. As you may be aware, he has been declared as a fugitive by the OSP. That declaration came after some armed men had visited his residence. We know that there were complaints about that. The minority waded into it. Yesterday, we heard from the majority leader as well, who had called that they had been looking into the matter and they've received information from the national security outfit that their men carried out that operation. It wasn't meant to be carried out in that particular manner. And so that is one issue that we'll be taking a look at critically. Then the other issue has to do with the Attorney General, deciding that even though he's not bound by law to provide explanation for discontinuing various cases, he has opted to give explanation to the nation as to why he decided to continue some of those cases. And he made some comments regarding his predecessor, Godfrey Adami. We understand much later on he will be addressing a press conference today to speak on some of these matters as well. And so that is another issue that will not go off the radar anytime soon. But we are going to start first with the issues surrounding Ken Ofori-Atta. And I want you to take a listen to the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, who spoke in Parliament on what he has been able to uncover in terms of sort of an investigation into that particular incident and all the matters arising.
The Deputy Minority Whip sought leave of the Speaker and the indulgence of the House to raise a matter that he thought was of urgent public importance. He drew attention to a joint police-military entry into the private residence of the former Minister of Finance, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. So, Speaker, it is true that the private residence of the former Minister of Finance was entered into by operatives of the military and the police led by somebody who we believe works at the National Security Coordinator's Office. Mr. Speaker, his name is Mr. Jakwa. Mr. Speaker, we have investigated the matter, and we want to say and assure our fellow countrymen and our colleagues in this House that we have received assurances from the Office of the National Security Coordinator that it was not intended that that should happen, and that occurrence is most regrettable and unfortunate, and he wants to give this House his word and assurance that a thing like that should never happen again. Mr. Speaker, I have also spoken with the Minister of Interior, who has spoken with his IGP, and I've spoken with the Minister of Defense, and all of them give their assurance to this House that a thing like that will not happen again. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me indicate to my colleagues on the other side that this side of the House remain committed to ensuring that this country is reset, that its institutions function properly, that its officials act in accordance with the law, and that the rights and liberties of every citizen are upheld and protected under the regime of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
That was the Majority Leader, Mahama Ayariga, speaking on this particular matter. And the context really is that the minority in Parliament, they raised issues about what had happened, and he had to provide that clarification. What I want us to do is, I want to pick initial thoughts on all we know so far. And I want to start with you, Mr. Amali. But first, from where this story started from, a day before the news conference, we were told that armed military men went over to the residence of the former finance minister. Subsequently, the OSP declared him a fugitive. Then came the issues surrounding the minority raising concerns. Then this clarification coming from, in fact, at the press conference by the special prosecutor, he had said that it was staged and that it was not his men who carried out that particular raid. We have since seen a CCTV of the incident itself. I mean, I don't know what runs through your mind when you process all what you've seen since this incident happened.
Let me say good morning to your viewers and my colleagues on this table.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Déjà vu. Déjà vu, because we have seen this before. When there's a change of government, these things happen. The question to ask is, why do politicians continue to do this to themselves? It's a case of déjà vu. I've heard this, I've seen this several times. From the days of Kufuor, when they took over from Rawlings, I've seen all this before. To the last one, when I think Dominic Ayeni himself and then John Jinakpo, and there was a third person who got up in the morning and soldiers surrounded their houses. So I've seen this before. If the MPP is crying today, what did they do when they were in government? Did they know that one day they will not be in government? And I have said time without number, and let every politician hear me, that you don't do this in a competitive democracy like Ghana. You know, when I say the competitive democracy, it means that one party cannot be in government all through. You are not in Iraq. You know, in Iraq, anytime they vote, 90% for the ruling government. In Ghana, it's not like that. Today you are in government, tomorrow you are outside. I remember Adam Kalim, he used to be, those days when we used to have the regional minister for Agric. He was then regional minister for Agric for the Northern region. He has a way of sitting in his car. His posture, he comes close to the tip of the car like this and sits like this. But you would have expected that he'll be comfortable sitting in his car and knock 7, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So
why not 14?
So when they ask him, he also jokingly tells people that, hey, government car, you don't sit fully, at any time you can get down. That's the kind of thing I want to put on in the minds of our politicians. That we should find, and I heard my majority leader talk about using democratic means, institutions must be allowed to work. Don't let politicians push you as a policeman to go and do things which are not right. I agree with him. Because when we were in opposition, I was director of legal affairs. I saw how most of our people who were sent to the police headquarters, and you used to interview me when I was there, were treated. You even want simple bail, they will say they have to call somebody from the top. You want bail. They have interrogated your man and they are finished. They've actually interviewed him, interrogated him. Then you say, now, we want to apply for bail. Wait. They'll have to look for somebody. Is it national security or wherever? Or is it the president himself? I don't know. So you end up sleeping. Your clients end up sleeping there. So do we now need to draw a line? Because we've both faced this before. And me, that's the way I like things to happen. I like things to happen in such a way that both parties will face a similar situation, a situation which is not good. Then we can now all go back to the table and sit and talk about it. Granted that what they did was wrong, but I also think that reading what the OSP has communicated, I think that if that is true, then Ken Ofori-Atta also was intransigent. Because from the communication, the OSP indicated that Ken refused to indicate when he was going to come home and when they can have him interrogated. And that he was going to be perpetually outside. That's the impression I got from the statement of the OSP.
Indefinitely.
So if that is the case, and you are a subject matter of a criminal investigation, what else do you expect the OSP to do? I've represented some of my people, NDC people, at Iyoko, and then, at Iyoko, and some at the police headquarters. In one case, and I'll mention that one because that one went to court. The other one I won't mention because it didn't end up in court. In the case of Ashai, Tema East MP, he was then outside the country. He instructed me, and I wrote a letter to the Iyoko and indicated when he was going to come. They allowed me. They said, oh, no problem. So if you treat the institution with respect, they don't insist that the person who is outside must come at all costs. But if you write a letter, as he has indicated, that your client will not come back, you don't know when your client will come, it's a clear indication of running away from justice. And so the OSP has every right to declare you as a fugitive.
I mean, we'll come and engage a bit on the specifics of that letter and everything that is happening. But I want to come to you, Mr. Janto. I mean, he makes the point about the fact that this happens a lot. And a couple of days ago, I heard Dr. Ayini, the Attorney General, recount his own situation about how his son had come to him and said that, look, there were armed men around the house. And he said he allowed them in because he identified one of the policemen whom he used to work with when he was a Deputy Attorney General. And so these are individuals that he work with. Then he goes into a position and they are sent to, I mean, God knows what they want to find in the house. I mean, this keeps happening.
Good morning. Good morning to my brothers and good morning to our viewers. Are we in a military state? Are we in a state where our leader is a military man who has done a coup? In my young days, I saw it a lot. From 66 right up to 79. I saw it a lot. They always came to our house, surrounded our house, caught my father, take him away. Sometimes early in the morning, 5 a.m. Just come and frog march him out of the house. I saw it a lot. I don't understand why in a democratic dispensation, you still have this kind of thing. Why? You know, I asked the question, what were soldiers doing in that group who went to raid Ken Ofori-Atta's house? Is that the responsibility of soldiers? Is that what they're supposed to do? Soldiers are supposed to do what? They're supposed to guard the country, guard our borders. They have nothing to do with civilian arrest. Nothing. So what are the soldiers doing in there? Number two, and forgive me, I shouldn't use this English, but that is the only thing I can use. Does it lie in the mouth of the majority speaker to come and apologize? I believe it's the interior minister who's responsible for who? For the security services. It's the interior minister who should have come to tell us that A, B, C, D, E happened. And this is the reason why it happened. Look, President Mahama has taken a certain trajectory of transparency. If you watch his utterances, if you watch his demeanor, if you watch what he hears, what he says, open. He tells you straight. When he was swearing in his ministers, he told them straight some of the things he doesn't expect them to do. So that ethic of transparency is now open. And I felt it was the interior minister who should have come to Parliament to tell us why it happened. And it's not just a question because it's Ken Ofori-Atta. It's a question because it can happen to any of us at any time. Is that the kind of culture we're looking for in this kind of dispensation? No. Because what does it do? It paints a certain picture where the president is concerned. And you hear opposition talk about, yes, it is Mahama, it is this. He might not know nothing about it. Was he advised? Was he told that raid was going to happen? So I believe the interior minister should come and explain to us why it happened. Just the majority leader apologizing on behalf of him is not enough. Come and tell us why it happened. The special prosecutor, when he was asked, what did he say? He has a fair idea of who did it. Why did they do it? Did they go with a warrant? Did they force themselves in the house? I'm talking about this because it can happen to any of us. We can be sitting here, one of us might have said something, and the next thing you see, we are being raided. No, it has to stop. It has to stop. If we say we are in a dispensation where Kamaminkebi, where we can all speak our minds, where we can all get the truth, then we shouldn't go down this line. Look, Ken Ofori-Atta has been alleged. That's the word that I haven't heard being used. Been alleged that all the 5 counts he's implicated. It's an allegation. We haven't what? Heard his side of the story. And the jurisprudence in this country, and anywhere, he approved innocent before he approved guilty. So we cannot begin to hang him with a rope when we haven't heard his side. Yes, I do agree the processes that are taken for him to come down, to be interviewed and all that, he needs to be interviewed. When you go and steal my phone, Akable, and police come right here, right now, they won't question me, they'll question you. They want to take your statement. So they want to take his statement to delve into the issue because the issues are grave. They are grave. Even let's put all the others aside and take the national, cathedral alone. Just that alone. If they won't even question him on anything, that alone, he needs to come down. Now, if it so happens, and the special prosecutor has told us that he's tried his possible best to get Ken Ofori-Atta to come. Ken Ofori-Atta hasn't given him a time he can come. I have the letter from the letter from the clinic. He's in Mayo Clinic. That states why he can't come, and it's a very generic letter when you read it. If the mountain won't go to Muhammad, can't Muhammad go to the mountain? So if Ken Ofori-Atta says, I'm not well, I can't come, can the special prosecutor not go to where he is?
I mean, those are all parts of the specifics that we'll be taking a look at when we delve into it a bit deeper. But I mean, Mr. Bachman, I have seen the CCTV videos from the residence of Ken Ofori-Atta and Richard, the man who has been identified as Richard Jakpa by the majority leader, There's one part of the video where he goes closer to the car and he says something to the soldier. The soldier goes into the car and comes out with the pistol and hands him the pistol, and he puts it at the back and he goes into the house. There are many who are watching this and they ask the question that, I mean, because we've been told that nothing was taken from the house, the question they ask is that, were they going on the suspicion that Ken Ofori-Atta may have been in the house, and so they were going to pick him up? And if they were going to pick him up, was that how they were going to do it? When you watched, I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen the video, but when you heard all that has happened surrounding this, what came to mind?
Thank you. Akable, good morning to my colleagues here, and good morning to our viewers. Akable, let me say this. If I were the president, here to rule on this matter, we are talking about two separate issues. We need to be very clear about it. We are talking about two separate issues. The raid and
Special prosecutors
OSP's issue. They are two separate issues, even though they all point to one particular issue. But in terms of how they happened, they are two separate issues. Because if you listen to the OSP, he said he didn't know anything about it. I mean, the fact that he said it was staged presupposes that he didn't know anything about it. And so you could see that there are two separate issues. But you see, my worry is that we claim we have chosen the path of democracy. Yet we don't want to allow the wheels of democracy to travel to its logical destination. At any point in time, we want to throw spanners into the wheels of democracy with our conduct, like what has just happened. Because if really we are interested and we want to reap the full benefit of democracy, then we should allow the laws to work the way they are supposed to work. The human interventions and the manipulations of the law is what is our problem in this issue. That is why I said, if I were the president, I tell you how to rule, to set example. Because if you want to reset Ghana, what we need to, the message we need to put across is that there's going to be a clear departure from the past, how things were done in the past. So if we are repeating things, then we are not resetting. We are only repeating the wrongs of yesterday. So for me, the president or those in charge, those who would have to take decisions on this matter, must be very brutal on it. They shouldn't, romance this issue at all, because it doesn't paint a good picture, even about the president himself. And all the noise they made in opposition about the things MPP did. If they are coming to do the same thing, then why did we change? So these are critical issues. But you see, it should also not be lost on us that, yes, if anyone is found or is suspected to have plundered this country, such a person should be made to face the law. That's why I said this. We are talking about two different issues here.
Yeah.
On the issue of OSP and him declaring the former finance minister fugitive and all that, question, if whatever he did is within the confines of the law, I'm not a lawyer, if whatever he did is within the confines of the law, then there's nothing wrong with that. Because we need to operate within the law. That's why I'm talking about the issue of democracy, because one of the cornerstones of democracy is rule of law. And if it is rule of law, then there has to be supremacy of the law, which means nobody is above the law. And if it's about rule of law, there has to be equality before the law. Then the same law must apply to whether you are a former finance minister or you are crab catcher or you are fowl stealer. The same law. And there has to be fairness in the way things are done. I was very much disturbed yesterday that the way I got to know about the raid, I was very much disturbed. We don't need this. As I couldn't agree with you more on the issue of your question, that are we in a military state? Of course we are not. We are in a democratic state. So we expect our leaders to play or operate within the confines of the law.
Okay.
No, don't allow the human interventions. We can't continue to allow the human interventions to influence the way we apply the law.
Okay.
Yes, so that's all for me. If I want to repeat it, the president must take a decisive action on this issue and not. You shouldn't let it go like that.
I mean, Prof, the majority leader, and I mean, the context within which he spoke about this was that the minority had asked for some investigation to take place, and he decided on his own to find out what had happened. He got the information. He says that the National Security Coordinator had assured him that this is something that's not going to happen again. It was not supposed to happen in this manner. Should this put the matter to rest at this stage with regards to the raid at his residence for now?
No, it doesn't end the case. Again, let me say good morning to my panelists.
Morning.
All protocols observed.
Yeah.
And then let me also say happy Valentine Day to everybody watching us. It's a beautiful day, and love is always in the air on Valentine's Day. Aka, you are accountable for one thing you can control, and that's your brain, how you make decisions. So always I think about 3 Ds: decisions, decisions, decisions. It is not healthy for such a raid to happen. That kind of attitude of you do me, I do you, as our lawyer was talking about, doesn't help any democratic dispensation. Now, I also watched, when I was young, my father soldiers would raid our house. It's not a pleasant thing. They will surround the house, they will start shooting, I could have died. And then they will catch my father and use the butt of a gun to hit him until he starts coughing blood. Now, if you are going to Ofori-Atta's house, do you have a search warrant? Or do you have an arrest warrant? From who? The police. Now, we've heard that the IGP said he wasn't aware. He didn't send anybody there. And we're talking about national security operatives. Somebody has been sacrificed here because his name has been mentioned in Parliament. Of course, the whip will crack on such a person. And then if you want to mention names, you also tell who sent him there to do that. I understand the arena that the special prosecutor is coming from. But we have laws in the land, and we have to follow procedures of our rights and liberties and accountability. Imagine that somebody was in their house and also had a gun. If it had been in the US, everybody has a gun in their house. So if you are intruding in their house at night and the person also has a gun, what do you think would have happened? It is not a healthy thing. We should not even entertain this at all. We have national security, but you need a search warrant and make sure the person, if you invite a person and the person is not there. Ofori-Atta was Minister of what? Finance for 7 years. We'll talk about the details why he has been asked to come and he did not show up. But is this the way to solve the issue? And let's talk about the special prosecutor. I think the special prosecutor 2 years ago, I started talking about the special prosecutor because we did a research on that department. And I started intensively talking about them. Let's look at almost 7 years of the Special Prosecutor's Office. How many money or how much money have they been able to receive or retrieve for the public? Because they have a mandate to investigate any specific case of corruption or anything relating to corruption, recover the money, and then take steps so that we don't have corruption. How much money have they been able to retrieve for the Ghanaian citizen? Based on how much we pay them. So let's do the cost-benefit analysis. We've been paying a lot to those working there. But they are using the media. Every quarter we have the special prosecutor and the team coming out to talk about cases that they are following. How much money have we retrieved from people alleged to have been, taking state funds? Let's talk about how many have been convinced about what they've been able to do, their output. So the special prosecutor, attention should be drawn there. Because these cases, we have a situation where even influence peddling, you remember that case? Yeah. Influence peddling, they said that it's not in our statute, it's not in our constitution, so it's not a corruption-related cases. Aka, let me ask you a question. If you say that before you allow somebody to see me, Professor Entry, you take $10,000 from the person, and I pay $10,000 to you, and you are able to let me see Professor Entry, is that not corruption? That's influence peddling. But they said it is not in our book, so there's nothing like that. So the way we have been interpreting the law, I tell people, and I tell students, even law students, I remember one time I was with Moses Formoni, I was telling him that our law schools don't teach leadership. You do constitutional law, they said, but we have to begin intentionally to teach leadership because most lawyers are into leadership positions. And we need to intentionally teach them how leadership works, because I'm a leadership expert. The least bar in every society is the law. That's the least bar. Why? Moral or morality is the highest bar. That is why when you break the law, you go to jail in every society. It's the least bar. So we have to follow the procedures and make sure that people who are following the procedures, rule of law. So to answer your question, the first question you asked me, when the majority speaker apologizes in Parliament, it is in order. But I also think we should move further by bringing in the Minister of Interior to also explain what happened, so that Ghanaians will be clear in their minds.
I mean, let's delve into it a bit deeper now. And I want to start with you, Mr. Maleba, because of a comment that you had made earlier. You suggest that the minister was being intransigent. And I mean, we have seen all the letters that have been shared. I mean, you represented various clients in the past. I mean, if an investigative body invites your client and you communicate to the investigative body that, look, he's not available, he's out of the country, you attach. In fact, even before he traveled, we are told that he had written to the previous chief of staff. When the new chief of staff came in, he wrote again to inform the new chief of staff that he was out of the country. In terms of the correspondence with the OSP, he made the medical records available. Yes, it does not indicate when exactly it will be available, but the doctor in the letter says it's available for any further engagements. The lawyers also said that they're also available to provide responses. Should the OSP have gone in the manner that he went? I mean, we don't know if he tried to engage the doctors. We don't know if he wanted some responses from the lawyers and he didn't obtain, but to say that, look, I want his presence still, and I will not accept this explanation.
Now, let me start with the lawyers. The lawyers are not the ones to be interrogated. They are not the ones to sit before the investigator and be asked questions. The lawyer is there to protect their client's interests when the interrogation is going on. So for the lawyers to say all questions should be directed to them as if they are the subject matter of the criminal trial, for me, it's neither here nor there. The next point is that, look, Ken Ofori-Atta, we all know, was sick, but was still managing the Minister of Finance. How was he going and coming back? How was Ken Ofori-Atta going and coming back? And this time, he cannot come back at all. It leaves questions to be answered. So, the communication from the lawyers, or is it from Ken Ofori-Atta himself, making it look as if he was not going to return to this country, in itself, was maybe the basis upon which the OSP declared him as wanted. Could the lawyers have done much more better? Yes, the lawyers could have done much more better. If it is that Ken Ofori-Atta is bedridden and cannot travel, which I don't know. You saw the suggestion he made. They could have suggested to the OSP that he's available for interrogation, but if only they can move there to do the interrogation. They didn't provide us to the OSP. And so there too, I think that they are faulted. Should the OSP declare him as wanted? I think so. Because if a person has stolen 4 fingers of plantain and they were looking for him, they will still declare him wanted. So why can't they declare Ken Ofori-Atta wanted? We are all equal before the law. And so if that maxim is right, and if an ordinary Ghanaian would have been declared wanted by the security agencies, as they did in Ofori-Atta's case, I think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've heard the MPP say that, oh, why the rush? Why the rush? You are asking who? The rush is that there's an allegation of impropriety against Ken Ofori-Atta in terms of the finances of this country. Was it because of the mismanagement of his economy or his style of mismanagement that led to the hair cutting? That led to old ladies and old men couldn't get money to buy drugs to eat, to swallow? Is that why the economy was bankrupt? So there's the need for this government to do things in such a way as to deal with the bad governance or corrupt practices of the bad administration. There are people who voted for this administration simply because they want this government to hold the previous government officials accountable. In fact, I've heard people just say that, look, if Muhammad comes and cannot do anything at all, and those people, they will be hearing me, I'm sure, if they have your text, they will text you, that if only he can retrieve monies they allege have been stolen by this administration, that is enough for them. I've heard that. And it was a campaign promise to deal with such practices. And so, it is the way and manner in which the lawyers handled the issue with OSP that led to this statement or press release that made him wanted. So I don't see anything wrong with what they have done. I just think that the lawyers failed to handle the issue rightly.
I mean, but Mr. Mali, but some of the issues that have come up, so for instance, National Cathedral and SML, the question many ask is that Ghanaians have been talking about it for a long time. I mean, your colleague in Parliament, the foreign minister, has been on the issue of the cathedral for so long. Why did it take the OSP that long to decide to step into this particular matter?
I heard my colleague and my classmate, Martin Pebu, make this point. Why the OSP failed to act. And it brings to focus one thing, the appointment procedures to some of these very, very important institutions. Was the OSP under some challenge not to go ahead and deal with the matter at the time the MPP was in power? The answer could be yes. Sometimes, and I'm talking about the appointments because if these appointments were not done through the presidency and the appointment were done through an independent body. In South Africa, good example, you know, even their current president was investigated for this. There's the Falafala case, a cattle ranch matter. Huh? Do you think that happened in Ghana that way? So the appointments. So I'm sure the special prosecutor was unable to do that because of the weight of the executive. And that I won't mince words. It can even happen under this administration. All that I'm saying is that, have we gotten to a time where some of these key institutions, we have its appointment procedures taken away from the presidency and then make them truly independent? And if we do that, you won't be here asking me why, under the MPP administration, these things were already there and the special prosecutor did not act. He now has a free hands to act. But let me tell our own appointees that after he's done with the previous appointees, the axe will fall on us. So we should also be ready and act accordingly and act well in a manner that will not fall foul of the laws. Because if the OSP is done with the official of the previous administration, he can continue going back to the previous administration. The axe will now fall on us. And I'm calling on our appointees to be mindful and to be guided by what is happening.
I mean, Mr. Jantua, now, in terms of the legal framework that we set up for the OSP, we gave him a 7-year tenure, secured. If you want to take him out, you have to go through the 146 procedure petition. In fact, there was an attempt to even get him out through that procedure, but the conclusion was that there was no prima facie case, so he didn't even go a step further. Should that not have given him enough confidence? National Cathedral, SML, there was a whole KPMG report on that and all of that. Should he not have moved in swiftly? The man has been around this country. All of a sudden, his party loses election and he's a fugitive.
You've got to ask him that question. Because really, I Ken Ofori-Atta was in this country right up until January.
For I told on the 2nd January.
2nd January he left. The OSP has indicated to us that he started investigating this particular issue 3 years ago. So when did the interaction start? When should it have started? Because if it's 3 years ago, you could have gained, collected information that you would need, any suspect, you need to take evidence from that. It didn't happen. I take AB's point. Was the executive heavy on the OSP that he couldn't move? I don't think that should be a question. But during the Cecilia Dapar case, the OSP had an engagement at the university, was it the University of Ghana? Yeah, University of Ghana, regarding these particular issues. And his body language showed that he was being held back in terms of moving on. And that is when he indicated that he had handed it over to Iyoko.
Iyoko, yeah.
So, was that the case? And if that was the case, why couldn't the OSP tell us? What was it? Your position, and please, AB, advise me if I'm wrong. Doesn't he have a position as a judge?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his conditions and the removal process, yes.
Doesn't he have that position?
Yeah, he's protected.
Yeah, he's protected. Doesn't he have the power of arrest? He does.
He does, yeah.
So why couldn't he? Why couldn't he tell us that ABCDE is the reason I'm being put under pressure by XYZ? Why? If you lose your job for speaking the truth, you lose your job for speaking the truth. Look, the biggest court in the land is the court of public interest. That's the biggest court. That's the biggest court. What the people who put you there feel. And the people who put you there would be able to tell whether this is right or this is wrong by what you say. So the OSP told us that I have an idea. We have an idea who did this raid, but if we talk about it now, it could jeopardize some of our processes. Say it. Didn't the leader of the House, in terms of the opposition, didn't he come and tell us? So what would have happened if the OSP told us on the day he gave that conference that this is what happened and this is who we understand did the raid? Would that have spoiled anything? But then you ask the question, as somebody has sent me a message, ask the question, was this particular conference necessary? Was it necessary, especially when you hadn't been able to get the buy-in of the other side? Was it necessary? And yes, he could be declared a fugitive, because when somebody is suspected in a criminal act or is alleged, and let's be very clear, all the offenses that have been talked about by the OSP is alleged corruption, because we haven't heard his other side of the story. You would only hear that story once he's being interviewed and once the OSP feels there's a case to answer in court and he goes to court and all the evidence is what is now laid bare. That is when we'll know his side of the story. When I say his side of the story, Ken Ofori-Atta's side of the story. So in the process of you getting there, if you haven't got there yet, should you come and have a press conference about it? Is there a hidden motive that we don't know? Because really, get all your facts in. And if you feel, what do you call it, our dear sister who was accused and found guilty in absentia,
Sedinam.
Was she here?
No, she wasn't.
When they took her to court? Was she
the
here?
initial part, she was around.
Was she here when they passed sentence?
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't here. Couldn't the same thing be done? If Ken Ofori-Atta feels he has nothing to answer, and the OSP wants to continue to take it to court, and he's called to come and he doesn't come, can that process not be followed? We've seen it, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, for me, my argument is that the right thing should be done. Let's put a certain status in place where people don't go ultra-virus and do whatever they want to do. The law is the law. Let's follow it. And really, with hindsight, I'm also asking myself the question, was the press conference necessary when all evidence hasn't been gathered? And if it so happens, and I'll repeat it again, if it so happens, that's where you stopped me earlier, if it so happens that Muhammad can't go to the mountain, you've got to go to the mountain.
And connected to that, let me stay with you still. I mean, earlier you made reference to the correspondence between the OSP and Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers. If you put everything together, do you get a sense that that is someone who does not want to face justice, if I'm to put it that way?
You see, I don't understand why Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers will come and say, whatever question you need to ask him, you can come through us. He's not the person they are looking for. But let me ask the question. Has the OSP, what is this? What is this?
It's a phone.
It's a phone. In my days, when I was growing up, you only had a stationary phone in the house. If you're out of the house and the phone rings, you are not there. Ken Ofori-Atta has a phone. Has the OSP picked the phone to call Ken Ofori-Atta and ask him directly? Has he done that? Has he done that? I wish he would be able to tell us that I took the opportunity to get Ken Ofori-Atta's number and I called him to indicate to him the graveness of him being absent. And even record it for people to hear. Because what do you want? You want the case that you are putting forward to be clear and transparent so that nobody can point a finger at you, the OSP, that you are trying to play some kind of game. We don't want that because you have a process to follow. And look, to prove criminality, the burden of proof is on the OSP. It is not on Ken Ofori-Atta. So he should do everything possible to adduce whatever evidence that is required if this thing is supposed to go to court. He has to. And the press conference for me, with hindsight, I don't think was necessary because all the processes haven't been followed. Yes, you want to claim that he's a fugitive, he's wanted. What has that changed? Has he changed anything?
So you still have to try and find him.
You still have to try and find him. You still have to try and talk to him. Impress on his lawyers that, look, we are very serious that we need to see Ken Ofori-Atta. Please impress upon him. And if Ken Ofori-Atta, if he can, in a wheelchair, fly, come down, let people see you, that you are here, you are sick. Because once upon a time, when he was having treatment, did he not come down to read the budget? Did we not all see his demeanor? Did we not all see that he didn't look well? But he came, did he not? Wasn't he in Parliament to read the budget? Wasn't he in Parliament to look at all the challenges we had, DTEP? Was he well then? We all saw on TV that Ken Ofori-Atta wasn't well. And some asked, but if you're not well, why are you coming to read budget? Why are you coming in? So if at this point, where fingers are being pointed at you, that you've done X, Y, Z, you're alleged to have done A, B, C, D, E, whatever the case is, drop everything. Tell your doctors, probably even come with the doctor because you can afford it. Come with the doctor, come with air ambulance, come down, let them see you. If the OSP is not prepared to come to you, come down so that this thing is cleared. Because the court of public opinion is that kind of court. If this thing goes to court and it is shown that Ken Ofori-Atta has not done all these things, the court of public opinion, some will say A, some will say B. And I don't think that is right. Perception can be a huge indictment on court cases if it is not done well.
I mean, let me come to you, Mr. Bachman. I mean, you have an investigator who is looking for a suspect or a person of interest, and he wants to see the person. He gives a particular date that he wants to see the person. And I've heard people say that when an ordinary criminal or an ordinary suspect is the one that is a target of such an investigation, the person may not have such courtesies. They may simply go all out and look for the person. The person's lawyers write to the investigator to say that, look, he's receiving treatment. They can't even tell you when he'll come in. I mean, they'll say that this is the right approach. They would have to go a bit hard on this person, call him out, and hope that that smokes him out of whatever hole he is in, perhaps, if we can put it that way.
Have you read the letter that the hospital sent?
Yes, I've seen the letter, yes. I mean, very generic. I mean, it just makes the point that he's undergoing various tests ahead of a possible procedure. It does not give any specific, Mr. Bachman.
Yeah, I think one word necessitated the press conference, and the word is indefinitely. If you listen to OSP, he dwelt so much on that word that he didn't give us a clear picture as to when he would come down. But you see, I would want to look at this issue from maybe an angle that most people have ignored. Amaliba, my brother, touched a bit on the issue of the influence of the executive on the OSP. I believe that there are three groups of people who can help us to solve our problems moving forward as a nation. I believe that the Constitutional Review Committee, the Parliament, and the Presidency. If these people will be fair to us as Ghanaians, and they would want this country to move in the right direction, then working on the Constitution, all these problems are coming at the time that a committee is working on our Constitution. So they can factor in some of these things to make sure that we don't get the repeat of the issues that have been coming up recently. And the issue of OSP, we proposed, if you look at our GTP, the Great Transformational Plan, we said the office of OSP should be upgraded. In other words, if there's going to be one person in charge of corruption, then we shouldn't have pockets of institutions that deal with corruption. We should have one body that deals with corruption. And that corruption czar, the anti-corruption czar, should not be made to take its prosecutorial powers from the Attorney General. His powers should be derived directly from the Constitution, so that he can even take the Attorney General to court if it becomes necessary. And for me, moving forward, these are some of the issues we need to look at. But the question is, does Ken have questions to answer? Blay, let me be honest with you. I am more than fortified in my conviction that Ken has a lot of questions to answer. And therefore, he has to be brought down to answer those questions. I don't see why people are calling this political persecution. It has not gotten to the stage of political persecution. The man has got some questions to answer. If he comes down to answer those questions, or if he's taken to court, and like it happened during NPP time, the cases that are sent to court, they have no leg to stand on. In other words, there are no sufficient evidence to prosecute him. Then he can be let.
The man says he's not well, so how does he come down?
No, but you also made a point, very fantastic point, that when he was not even, at the point in time when he was not well, he was in Ghana reading budget. It was also obvious he was not well. So I believe that yes, if he's not well, I don't think he's gotten to a point of where he's done completely. He cannot move or he cannot do anything. He can move. There can be arrangement where he can come and go, because I mean some of these things we know how they are done. But if he doesn't want to come at all, like the impression he's giving to the OSP that he doesn't want to come, then the OSP has got the right to do what he did, because people have really suffered because of his mismanagement. And you said if nothing at all, the National Cathedral issue, the fact that as a nation we had to spend $58 million, not cities, dollars, to have that in there. Certainly it's got a lot of questions to answer. And so I personally, yes, maybe the OSP, maybe he overdid what he did. I mean, he went overboard with the way he handled the issue. But I believe that the issue is not whether he did what is right or what. The issue is that does Ken have questions to answer? And the answer is yes, he's got questions to answer. So he should come and answer those questions. Because whatever he did it on behalf of Ghanaians. And Ghanaians are demanding through OSP that he should come down. He comes down to answer those questions so that we'll know whether the law will catch up with him or you go scot-free. And for me,
Akabre, just before Prof comes in, and I'm going to ask a very sensitive question because it's lingering in my mind. In situations of criminality, can we waive a president's immunity? Is that possible?
We should.
Because, wait. With all the cases, there is one that stands out, which emanates from the presidency, which is the National Cathedral. It wasn't something that came up as a government manifesto promise or something a government wanted to do. It was a personal promise of one person. And if we so happen to find criminality has ensued in that promise, can we not waive the president's immunity, the former president's immunity, and question?
I mean, I think under the provisions, if you want to do it, you have to do it within 3 years.
Yes, I know that. That's why I'm asking.
So there's no
I know
need for immunity. The law provides for it.
Yes.
That if you want to
But
bring
beyond
an
the
action,
3 years, then it has to
I
be
know
bring it.
that.
The first 3 years.
I know that. I know that.
So just call for his interrogation. Call for Akufado's arrest.
wait,
Uncle, you've cut into my time, so you pay for it. On a Valentine's Day.
I mean,
It was
just on your mind. I mean,
That's an interesting angle.
let's hear from Prof now.
A criminal is a criminal, be it a president or a cleaner. Because wrong is wrong. And anytime we sit here and we talk about issues, people take it personally. Nobody is supposed to take anything personally. We all speak about a better Ghana. That's why we are all here early in the morning every day trying to speak about how to make our country well. Henry Kissinger was a former Secretary of State of the U.S., and I'm going to take it from the governance perspective. He said that governance sometimes is just a relationship you have with the people. So if you are ruling, what is the relationship that you have with those you are ruling? That is very important. But again, from the governance perspective, I'm worried about many things. First, I'm worried about our leaders who are sick and they go to other countries to seek healthcare. It is dangerous. I've never seen a Secretary of State of any other country, a Prime Minister of any other country, a congressman, when they are sick in Europe or North America, coming to Ghana or any African country for healthcare services. Why don't we build our health institutions in such a way that when we are sick, we can stay in our own country and then get the healing that we want? So I'm worried about that. The way our leaders go outside to seek healthcare when we should have used the money to build better healthcare. You know, we have ultra-modern healthcare. And I like what is coming on the 6th of March, that we are not going to spend much on 6th of March. Last year I was in Ofori-Atta. It was hosted at the 67th independence anniversary. And I saw the money that we lost. But look at what is happening even in Tanzania. They use every independence anniversary, the money to build an ultra-modern hospital. So if we can do that, if President Mahama can do that, that every year, instead of the money being used for the 6th March, just March past, and the money we use, the soldiers and all the military people come and stay there for a week practicing before the actual one. That money, and we do it at the district level, at the regional level, that money can be used to build ultra-modern hospital. So by the 4-year term, that person would have built 4 modern ultra hospitals for our country. I don't even care if the president put their name on it, but I think it will help us a lot because it doesn't befit us to always travel outside when we need healthcare. 2, I'm also worried about the number of people leaving the country when MPP have lost. A lot of them have left the country. Why are they running away? What have they done wrong? So we should be careful about that. 3rd, I'm worried about Ofori-Atta, and this is not his person, so he shouldn't take it personally. Anybody who comes to work for me and the person says, I'm not taking salary, I'm worried about that person, I wouldn't hire you. Remember, Ofori-Atta is on record never to have taken any salary for 7 years. Now he's facing the crime, 5 different crimes, and I'm going to list them so that people will know why we are talking about this. His crimes are 5 from the special...
Alleged crimes.
Alleged crimes, yes. Alleged crimes from the Special Prosecutor's Office. First, they said contractual arrangement between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority, that the contract, the way it was signed, he erred in that. The second one is termination of contract between Electricity Company of Ghana and Beijing Zhao Cheng Technology for the district loss reduction and associated network improvement project. The third one is procurement of contractors, materials, and payment related to the National Cathedral. That's his crime number 3. 4 is activities and payments associated with the contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry of Special Development Initiative. That contract too has some issue there. And the last one is payments and utilization of funds from the tax refund account of the Ghana Revenue Authority. So these are his 5 crimes that should come and answer to that. And I think that
Alleged crimes.
Alleged, yes. I think I don't want to repeat the alleged because I've already said alleged. So anytime I have to repeat that, that's interesting. But this alleged crime, it is important for him to come and respond to those alleged crimes.
I mean, Prof, in wrapping up our conversation, just your final word on this, what do you expect to happen?
I want to recommend the special prosecutor, based on relationship with a lot of people in MPP government, that what people said, I think he's done far better than Martin Amidu, who used to write a lot but didn't take a lot of actions. I think Issa Jabin has taken him on. But it is not easy, and we have to recommend some of these things. It is not easy to take politicians on when they are in office, because I've seen the frustration that he faced, even the Cecilia Pass issue. I talk a lot about that. There were a lot of frustration that they face in the line of their duties. We remember Domelovo's issue.
Yeah, he said if you fight corruption,
corruption will fight you. So they are doing a good job, and the public should support them because they are not trying to retrieve the money for themselves, but for the nation. But I can see that in the end, it might not end anywhere, because the special prosecutor have not retrieved any money for us. We have not seen a lot of output from them. So this is the time for them to show us that, okay, we have invited somebody for alleged corruption. These are money that went wrong. How do we get the money back? Because in the end, like my brother said, most individuals voted for NDC hoping that they will show, some of the corruption that we talked about, because every day is business as usual. MPP says NDC are corrupt. They come, they are not able to prosecute anybody. NDC come and say MPP are corrupt. They are not able to prosecute anybody. So it's business as usual. But now it's action time. We want to see action and retrieval of the money for the state, because we need money.
Mr. Bachman, final thoughts?
On this issue?
Yes.
Oh, me?
We are actually wrapping up. My producer has signaled that, yes.
Oh, we are finishing everything right now. Oh, okay. Okay, so the OSP should continue to do whatever it will take to bring him down. You can answer questions. Yes, we shouldn't dwell so much on what has happened. The way forward is what is important. How to bring him down to come and answer questions is, for me, what has to be done. Yes, once again, I want to say that if our leaders would want this country to go the direction all of us want to go, as much as possible, they should refrain from, allowing their emotions, their hatred, their personal opinions, to find expression in the way we apply laws in this country. We should allow the laws to work perfectly as they are supposed to work, so that you can get the true benefit of our democracy and true benefit of our rule of law. But I can't also end without, do you know Nanaya Sapon? He comes on this show.
Yes.
He's asked me to use this occasion, today being a special day, to wish the wife, Kunedu, a happy Valentine's Day. So let me pick this one and say, Mrs. Nanayo Sapon, I'm giving all the names. Your husband says I should wish you a happy Val's Day. So take it, and also happy Val's Day to all my loved ones, all those who love me.
All of them.
How many loved ones do you have?
And all the people that I love. All the people that I love.
Okay. Let me come to Mr. Jantia for your final comment.
One particular phrase we haven't heard from either side or anybody in this country is witch hunting. When you look at the accusations, the 5, it's in real time. The one thing I'll say to the special prosecutor, get your evidence. And your evidence should be beyond reasonable doubt. We don't want a situation to go to court and you are questioned on the evidence you've presented. I'm forgetting Ken Ofori-Atta, there are many ways of doing it. You can go there, that one, I don't see that as too much of a challenge. Because whatever the case, even if it takes 20 years, he will have to come and answer. But for me, the evidence that you are going to present in court should be watertight, period.
I mean, Mr. Maliba, we understand other government officials are also out of town, former government officials, they're also out of town. I'll take your final remarks on everything we've discussed.
What does that
The
mean?
way you put it is too diplomatic. They've run away. Other government officials have run away.
Oh, you've heard that as well?
Like who?
No, he just mentioned, he also said that most MPP guys have
Yes.
run out of town. So they've run away, and you don't run away if you've not done anything bad. Look, are you surprised that Ken is facing these charges? The very moment Ken was appointed as finance minister, I said, and I think Suini MP was trying to raise that in parliament, because he is a competitor in the business industry.
Data
Bank, enterprise, what? He has businesses, and government deals with those businesses. So if you then put him Minister of Finance, are you not setting him up? So Akufo-Addo has set up his own cousin to face these charges. It is already set up. Look, there was no way Ken will be clean. Even if it were me. Today I am DG for road safety. If my wife has a cleaning company and you send me there, won't I be thinking of how do I get this contract to my wife? It's a natural human consequence of your thinking. So he was already set up to face these charges.
You should deny it.
Huh?
You should deny it from your mind.
Because
it's wrong.
You now have to fight it away.
Yes, you have
That's
to.
what I'm saying. So he was already set up to face these charges, and he's facing them. And you are also aware that by this time, under the MPP administration, we started recording scandals. You know? So the MPP, I'm sure, are only questioning why they have declared him wanted. But I'm not sure they are saying that he has no questions to answer. They themselves, sometimes when they come, we meet them here. When we meet them on this platform, and we go out, they say, hey, kuntum kunuku. Kuntum. So they know. They themselves, they know. So I think that what should be done at this time is for cool heads to prevail. This raiding issue has not started now. I can give you a long list. Even Professor Mills' house was raided. Do you remember?
Yes.
Professor Mills. He was lecturing in South Africa or somewhere, or Canada, and the wife, poor lady, was there, and they raided the house. So they should be the last people, the MPP, should be the last to be talking about raiding. But some of us have our heads firmly fixed on our neck, and we can reason with them that let it end. And moving forward, as a people, we should deal with each other in a respectful way.
I mean, that's what all time would allow us this morning. You heard Abraham Maliba, is Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. You also heard from Kwame Jantua. He is with the CPP and a girl practitioner as well. Ebo Bachman is with the Movement for Change, and Professor Enoch Opoku is a governance and policy analyst. Today is the birthday of our producer, Shadrach Abe, and I'm sure he's standing by the door. He's waiting for all of you. Shadrach, Mr. Maliba is the one coming out first, so when he comes out. So happy birthday to Shadrach once again. Thank you so much.
His gap is white, so
joining us.
his gap is white.
This gap is white. No, the chocolate is different. So he's waiting for.
I can play.
everyone
I
outside.
can play. Today, what is happening to me? And do you know Odihun for Jackson?
He's also asking for.
But if you take yourself as a
to wish to say to the wife. We need to ask the and so Mrs. Jackson, Mrs. Jackson, please, your husband says happy birthday. Take it.
You've turned yourself to a public announcer of Valentine. So they'll send all the messages.
So that is our discussion today. The show continues. I am Joseph Akabile. Stay tuned in.
Love with luxury. This Valentine's Day, 14th February, we're giving you the ultimate escape. It's Valentine's Cash Out and Chop Love. 5 lucky winners and their partners will enjoy a fully paid weekend getaway at a luxurious hotel with massage, boat rides, swimming, sightseeing, and endless romance. It's easy. Just dial *439# and select option 8, MG Jackpots. A ticket is only 10 Ghana cedis. The more you play, the more you stand a chance being part of the winners. This campaign is in partnership with Radio Entertainment Ghana and approved by the NLA Caritas platform.
Download OneXBet app and enjoy the variety of sports anytime, anywhere. OneXBet app, at the heart of the game.
Based on a recent survey, more than 52% of Ghanaians agree farm animal welfare is important. 65% of Ghanaians believe hens live happy and simple lives free from needless pain. But in reality, they are trapped in tiny cages, subjected to stress and suffering their entire life. There is, however, a better way of preventing them from going through unnecessary pain. Imagine a world where hens are able to roam freely. Give hens the lives they deserve and say no to hen suffering.
Last Valentine's, the best you could do was this. You saw the grand gestures, then there was yours. This year it's different. Daylex Swift's virtual treasure hunt is here. 2 iPhone 16 Pro Max, one for you, one for her. This Valentine's, it's not just a gift, it's a statement. Just big moves. Daylex Swift's virtual treasure hunt. 2 iPhone 16 Pro Max, one big win. Join the Spoil Their Big Boy Big Flex Virtual Treasure Hunt on 14 February 2025. Visit www.swiftvalentine.com or scan the QR code on your screen to register. Follow us on social media at Daylex Swift for more info. This virtual treasure hunt is powered by Daylex Swift Investment, the smart money move.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you